Fiancé agreed when I suggested a prenup, so I added a condition saying whoever cheats first pays 100 grand, and now he is freaking out about it because it's not fair. And only the things we acquired jointly during the marriage, such as a house, car, etc., would be sold off and the funds split equally between us. And no alimony as well. He agreed to these terms as they were pretty fair, but I also had an infidelity/abuse clause that I wanted to add, and this was non-negotiable for me. Mostly because my parents had a very ugly split due to my father cheating, and it spanned years, as my mom couldn't leave since she was a stay-at-home mom with no income, and she wouldn't even if she could since she thought she could change him. And I, unfortunately, was way more involved than a child should have been and became a proxy therapist and referee to the two of them from the time I was 14 until I was 19, and they finally split properly. Safe to say, it was pretty traumatic, so this clause, in a way, was a homage to the younger me to make sure that I never experience what my mom did. Basically, the clause is that if either of us cheats or abuses the other, physical abuse mostly, all the joint assets and the decision of what happens with them, if they are to be sold or kept, go to the other party, and the cheating party has to pay the entirety of the wedding costs back to the other party, which is around 100,000 from our estimates, which we are splitting between the two of us. Of course, cheating/abuse with proper evidence, though we will define what exactly constitutes cheating after we find lawyers and start properly drafting the prenup. Also, the state I live in does enforce or at least admit infidelity clauses in prenups. My fiancé wasn't happy about this clause, though. He said it was unfair to expect the cheating party to pay the entire wedding costs back, and he says it's borderline manipulating the person to stay in the relationship. In my opinion, it's more of a penalty similar to what you would pay if you broke a contract, and marriage is essentially a contract. If a person violates it, I feel it is fair to expect them to pay compensation like any other contract. To him, something like this should be based on trust, and he says he feels like I don't trust him by suggesting a clause like this, which it isn't about trust. If I didn't trust him, I would have never agreed to marry or even date him since I was all set to essentially stay single after everything. I do trust him. Anyway, we both couldn't agree and ended up arguing and decided to wait until we met up with lawyers to properly hash it out. It's the first time we've ever disagreed so strongly on something, so I'm kind of at a loss here, and I'm kind of second-guessing if I'm being unreasonable here and projecting too much of my parents' relationship onto ours. I'm certain I won't even have to use the clause, but having it there soothes what little anxiety I do have about marriage as a whole.